Galactic Legend Sith Eternal Emperor is finally getting a lifter unit, and I'm as surprised as you are, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, he is the most needed GL that does want a lifter unit, but I was not expecting that lifter unit to be Darth Bane. That's pretty sexy. So we've had an announcement by Tusken Meathead on the forums. Let's go take a look at it real quick. We had a post from Tusken Meathead on the forums talking about the new Darth Bane Conquest unit that's coming to the game. Apparently lead designer CG_Mouse had a few things to say about it, and two things in particular are very important. One, it sounds like Darth Bane is going to absolutely be a lifter unit for C in certain circumstances, and in other scenarios he is actually going to be leading his own ragtag of trash tier Sith. There are a few within the game. Let's just take a very the briefest of glances within the game right now to see which units they might be. Now, I'm taking a look at this and I'm thinking certain units just do not feel like they will go with Darth Bane. I don't think Lord Vader needs one, and more importantly, Lord Vader is more sort of Empire focused and unaligned Force user. Sith Eternal Emperor, absolutely, we've spoken about that. But Darth Revan, Malak, Malgus, Bastila Shan Fallen, even to some extent Sith Marauder, Empire Trooper and Assassin, have their very own cohesive units that certainly do not need any additional power. However, when you start looking at certain other units, you begin to see a few cracks. For example, Darth Sidious is utter trash tier, even with his TW Omicron, in my humble opinion. So I feel like Darth Bane will be lifting up the likes of Sidious, potentially. Within that TW environment, we might see some use out of Darth Maul, who also sees very little use. Then there is a little bit of tertiary benefits, potentially with Marauder, Assassin, and Sith Empire Trooper. And I know I just said they belong in a Darth Revan or Darth Malgus squad, but you only take one of them, and the most disused, I would say, are probably Sith Assassin, maybe Sith Empire Trooper. Talon, certainly up for grabs. She does make a great plug-and-play Sith unit that does hover between teams, so she might find her way featured there. The one for me that's a bit of a wild card is actually Sith Trooper. He is obviously First Order and does go well with Kylo Ren, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren that is, but I do feel like he also has plenty of viability to be plug and played in various Sith teams. I say that because Slacker doesn't actually always use First Order. He also goes in with the likes of Daka and Zombie and the likes of Wat Tambor, and even potentially under the Armourer to get some of that Beskar armor to keep him survivable. And under those circumstances, he's able to punch up against the newer GLs, taking out the likes of Jabba, taking out the likes of the brand new Leia, especially when paired alongside Taron Malako. So going back to CG Moust's comments over here, he said with his leader, so we know he's definitely getting a leadership, Darth Bane can assemble a band of misfit Sith with sufficient relic investment to turn them into a competitive fighting force. Now, keep this in mind here, sufficient relic investment and competitive fighting force. What does that mean exactly? I have a feeling it means if you've got like Relic 7, maybe Relic 5 at a push, you can have those units play nicely together. Maybe you're using the likes of Maul and Sidious, maybe you even throw in Count Dooku there, who does work in a Trench squad, but Trench isn't exactly massively meta. Maybe if we do pull Watt away from C, then that can happen. But I just don't know, because that then puts it at odds, because if you're taking Watt to make a Trench team, but then you take Dooku out of the Trench team still has no bite to it, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm thinking that most people, almost invariably, are going to be running him with C. If we check out CG Mouse's comments down here, he says, Sith Eternal Emperor has a special call-out within Bane's kit, and the duo are quite a force to be reckoned with, #what leaves the chat. Now those of you that use C will know that his predominant use within GAC is typically to be taking out those A-tier teams, not the galactic legends of the game. Typically speaking, unless they happen to have some sort of Jedi GL on defense, it's usually reserved to take out the likes of Reva, or take out the likes of Malgus or Gas, or anything like that that you absolutely have to kill, but don't want to or don't have any other counters available. Compare this to what they say in the previous paragraph. He's getting Grand Arena Omicrons. Bane is going to be capable of challenging Swigger's heaviest hitters, including Galactic Legends. Now, I have to think that this is at odds with what the first sentence of the next paragraph says, which is a competitive fighting force. Is it competitive, or is it killing Galactic Legends? Because those two things are distinctly different in my opinion. I feel like his Galactic Legends counters are going to be stuck with Sith Eternal, and it feels like if you're going to do that, it has to be a two-man team. So we're talking about just C and just Bane together. With his unique, he can be paired alongside one other powerful Sith ally to fully embrace the iconic rule of two. Now it says one Sith ally. Does that mean you throw him in a team with other units that aren't Sith and just one Sith ally? I feel like that's not the case. I feel like it's going to be just a duo team that will be short manning potentially Galactic Legends, and I hope that is the case, because I can't help but feel like if you can throw in other units into this team that aren't Sith units, then ultimately you're just going to be throwing in Wat Tambor once again with Sith Eternal Emperor and have basically the exact same thing. Those of you that are unfamiliar with the rule of two, that is the ideology that Darth Bane actually came up with, whereby there are only ever two Sith Lords in existence, a Master and an Apprentice. So it stands to reason that we won't be seeing Darth Bane in a massive team if he is not the leader, and I have a strong suspicion that that will be the case for 90% of the player base. What does that mean? I feel like C will have the power to take down Galactic Legends with far better ease now, and it won't just be Jedi Galactic Legends. I expect with this particular lifter unit from Conquest, he is quite likely going to be able to beat basically any GL on offense. I don't think that this is going to be a defensive team, simply because we cannot set short man defenses in GAC. And we know that Darth Bane's Omicrons are Grand Arena focused, which is a really good thing. Thankfully, not for the likes of Territory Wars, certainly not for the likes of TB, but that does mean it sounds like to me that this is going to be an offensive only team, and honestly, I'm quite happy with that. I don't feel like we need C to be a defensive team, even though he can perform quite well there. Unfortunately, it does usually mean he has to be paired up with the likes of Treya, the likes of Savage, with the Omicrons on them, Nihilus and Scion. Eventually got there, or even Darth Talon. The final comment that they give is this version of Darth Bane is actually going to be the one that we see in Clone Wars and not the one that we see within the book series. What really gets me curious is how is Darth Bane's kit going to react with C's ability to prevent revives on Sith allies? Is he going to have something that overrides the fact that when a Sith ally dies they can't be revived? Or is he going to revive in a spirit form or something like that? Is he going to have some sort of sacrifice mechanic where he passes additional stats? The main thing that it has to do is it has to replicate in some way, shape or form what Tambor or the Armourer provides to C. Those things are mainly about survivability and the ability to shrug off debuffs. So we're thinking about things such as ability block and heal immunity, which can really stop C from countering certain teams. That's why we have Wat Tambor in there. It's to make sure that C can tank those hits until he reaches ultimate. They do say that within Sith Eternal Emperor's specific callouts in Bane's kit, they are a force to be reckoned with, and it gives them a lengthy list of buffs and immunities for both Bane and his allies. So I would not be surprised to see if we get things like immunity to shock, immunity to heal immunity, immunity to ability block, or perhaps when these debuffs stick, they get reflected back onto the enemy team and you cleanse them off yourself. Something in the region of that to make sure that C is always going to hit his ultimate and he's always going to wipe the floor. Personally, I would like to see a little bit more damage in there as well, because it does sometimes feel like C is able to clear out the ads, but then struggles very much with trying to clear out a lone GL at the end, if it isn't a Jedi GL, for example. But I think I've spoken personally enough, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe. What do you think that we're going to see in this new Darth Bane kit? All we know is we will likely get the kit reveal in about a week and a half to 2 weeks, right before we see this new version of Conquest arrive. And until the next video, peace out, and may the Force be with you.